This program is brought to you by the American River Parkway Foundation and is proud to present a series on the value of the Parkway for you and our community.
On this program, we share the rich history of the American River and the long-fought efforts to make it accessible, the tranquil effect the Parkway has on those who embrace it most. And if you're missing a mermaid tail, we've got a local hero who can return it. This and more on the exciting show made just for you. This is Discover the Parkway. Hi there, and welcome to Discover the Parkway, the program that features the amazing 23-mile stretch of natural greenbelt right in our own backyard. I'm your host, Kelly DeMarco, and with me is Phil Romig, a longtime supporter of the American River Parkway Foundation, who's also an educator and environmentalist. Welcome to the show, Phil.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here, and we understand that you've been visiting the Parkway for so many years. You've got to have some great memories.
I do. I started going there when I was just a kid, in elementary school, and we would spend all summers down there on the river. And in high school, I would take classes that had us go to the river and take pictures. And I really love that place.
It's so special, isn't it?
It is.
And I know you've also been involved in a lot of different education programs with kids, and those programs bring students from all over the region. You must have loved that.
I did. It started when I was a teacher, and I would bring my classes on field trips to the river. They'd never been to anything like it. And then later, I got involved with the American River Parkway, and we started a program that brought Title I kids to the Parkway, and we taught them all about the ecosystems and environment, and of course the history of the Parkway.
And so many of these kids just don't know the history of the Parkway, do they?
No, not at all. It was kind of funny because the parent chaperones, even though it was close to them, had never visited the Parkway either.
It's a different time now, but there's so much history, and I can't wait to talk to you more about how the American River Parkway is today compared to back then. But speaking of that long history, we want to show you this in-depth look at how the American River formed our region and how the efforts of so many dedicated people really made it possible to protect and conserve this natural treasure.
The American River, rich in beauty, rich in ore, rich in history, rich in lore. Help us conserve this, your heritage.
When you think about Sacramento's history, you might picture the gold rush, John Sutter, or the city's bustling port on the Sacramento River. But behind all of that is another river. Smaller, wilder, and every bit as influential. The American River. It's here, along these 30 winding miles from the Sacramento River to Folsom Lake, that the story of our region truly begins.
In the 1840s, the Sacramento's survival depended on the ships sailing up the Sacramento River from San Francisco. That river carried people, goods, and opportunity. But look east, the American River, that's the one that pulled settlers inland. It was the real engine that drove development toward the foothills of the Sierra Nevada.
Governor Juan Bautista Alvarado, who ruled California under Mexican control, named this waterway El Rio de los Americanos, the River of the Americans, a fitting name after the trappers who roamed its banks.
If we trace it on the map, you can see where it begins, high in the Sierra Nevada near Lake Tahoe, splitting into three forks, the north, middle, and south. These streams cut through granite canyons before merging near Auburn, forming what we now know as Folsom Lake. From there, the Lower American flows another 30 miles right here into the heart of Sacramento.
Long before the trappers or the gold miners arrived, the Nisenan people made this their home. For thousands of years, they lived by the rhythms of the river, fishing, hunting, and gathering acorns beneath the oaks. Each winter, the river swelled into an inland sea, flooding the valley floor. The Nisenan adapted, moving to higher ground during flood season, then returning to the rich, fertile floodplains once the waters receded.
It's remarkable when you think about it. The same flooding that challenged later settlers was what created some of California's most fertile soil. One of the first Americans to truly explore this region was Jedediah Strong Smith. In 1827, he camped along what he called his Wild River. Smith was the first American to cross the Sierra Nevada and the first to explore much of California by land. His maps and journals opened the way west, turning California from a mystery into a destination.
But the Nisenan world changed in the 1830s when malaria swept through the valley, likely brought by trappers. Thousands perished in little more than a decade. Their population fell from 15,000 to just 3,000. The river that once sustained life now carried unimaginable loss. A decade later, in 1839, John Sutter arrived at the south shore of the American River and began building his dream colony, New Helvetia. Other settlers followed, claiming ranchos like Rancho del Paso and Rancho Rio de los Americanos.
And then came gold. In 1848, James Marshall discovered gold on the South Fork of the American River.
Almost overnight, this quiet waterway became a global thoroughfare. Miners followed its bends from San Francisco to the foothills, chasing fortune in its gravel and sand. Though the river was too shallow for most boats, its path inspired the region's first travel routes. Dirt roads roughly followed its banks, and by the 1850s, the Sacramento Valley Railroad laid track along the same corridor from Sacramento to Folsom.
These routes did more than move people. They shaped the city itself. The direction of our growth, even our neighborhoods today, still follow the lines first drawn by the American River.
The river's power wasn't just in its soil, it was in its current. In 1895, engineers built a hydroelectric dam and powerhouse near Folsom, sending electricity 22 miles downstream to Sacramento. It made the city one of the first in America to use hydroelectric power commercially. By the early 1900s, industry followed the river's path. Liberty Iron Works built airplanes for World War I. Even Sacramento State and Cal Expo rose beside its banks, proof that the river was still guiding the region's future.
For all its benefits, the American River has always demanded respect. Early Sacramentans built ferries, then wooden bridges, and watched them wash away in winter storms.
The floods of 1861 and 1862 were catastrophic. They turned Sacramento into a lake and convinced the city to raise its streets and build levees. Still, the river broke its banks again and again.
City leaders realized that current levee construction was not enough. They made a bold engineering move by rechanneling the American River to flow into the Sacramento River at a right angle, while at the same time used most of its dredging to fill and raise the city up to 10 feet. In the mid-1800s, the work in straightening out the American River into the Sacramento was monumental.
The physical straightening and moving of the American River to its modern, more direct course diverted floodwaters away from the burgeoning city center. Other goals related to the confluence included problems caused by hydraulic mining debris that choked the rivers and obstructed navigation. This led to the creation of the California Debris Commission in 1893 to manage the problem.
Here we are literally at the confluence. That is the mighty Lower Sacramento River, and that is the mighty American River, and exactly there is where they meet. In fact, you would actually see a color difference and see a very distinct seam where one river meets the other. They have different geologies that they flow through and different soil substrate that they flow through. They have different flow rates. Way back when, some 150 years ago, you wouldn't be at the bank of the river. You'd be enjoying it much further south from here. This is a powerful thing, the river, both rivers. And every reasonable Sacramentan would understand that you can only tame Mother Nature so much. And so we need to always be cognizant of the fact that we live in a flood-prone area.
By the mid-1900s, decades of mining, dredging, and development had scarred the river's landscape. Huge dredge machines had torn through its banks, leaving mounds of waste rock behind.
I'm standing on a dredge tailing near the river. This is where the gold dredging barges would deposit rock while extracting gold, leaving mounds of discarded rock and gravel in their wake. This practice ended in February 1962 when the mining of gold was not profitable. However, rock and gravel operations continued, and industry and urban encroachment were slowly swallowing up the riverbanks. It wouldn't be long before the Lower American River would become a deep channel with large levees, erasing the natural habitat that existed here for thousands of years.
With the completion of the Folsom Dam in 1955, land on both the north and south sides of the river was developed for residential and commercial use. However, the concept to conserve the parkway began years before that.
In 1896, the first bike path was created by the capital city wheelmen. So people have been wanting to traverse around the river for a very long time. The concept of the American River Parkway was first visualized by a city planner, John Nolan, in 1915. The first proposed parkway plan was completed by Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. in 1929, and then was updated again in 1947. So Sacramento County Regional Parks didn't come to an existence until 1959, when the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors established our department, and then the first county parkway plan was completed in 1960.
And because of people like William Pond, the first director of the County Department of Parks, the American River Parkway Plan was incorporated in the county's 1962 general plan, and land acquisition began for the parkway.
Developers were purchasing land at tremendously cheap prices, and we could see that if nothing was done, it would be too late to formulate some kind of a boundary of a legitimate parkway to protect it in the public interest.
The Save the American River Association led a movement to reclaim what was left, pushing for a continuous greenbelt from Folsom to the Sacramento River.
And they succeeded. What began as a local dream became a national model for urban conservation, the American River Parkway.
In 1972, there was a bond issue sponsored by Sarah, in the sense that we were pushing the county. The county put it on the ballot, and for $12,500,000, and it was passed by over 70% of the voters. For that amount of money, we got 4,000 acres of parkway. If you take it by acre, it was a bargain, and the timing was right, and thank God that the Parks Department and the county jumped on that at that time, because today that would not happen.
But that was really the birth of putting in motion what we all wanted, and that meant investing. And so you look at that Bond Act in 1972, and you can really think of it as kind of the first time we all kind of came together and said, okay, special place. This place is so special. let's put literally our money where our mouth is.
And to see these different communities and the way they embrace the parkway, the way they take advantage of the wonderful outdoor amenities that we have right in our backyard in Sacramento County, I mean, that is just really, it's an honor. I mean, I have a lot of bragging rights on the Board of Supervisors, and how wonderful that we live in this urban environment in such close proximity to this beautiful outdoor space where we can experience wildlife in their natural habitat. I mean, that's really a wonderful, unique thing.
By the 2000s, the parkway stretched 23 miles and encompassed 4,800 acres of open space, welcoming more than 8 million visitors each year.
Today, the Jedediah Smith Memorial Trail follows the river's path from Folsom to the confluence, named for the man who once called it his wild river.
Great egrets and bald eagles still soar overhead. Salmon and steelhead return to their ancestral waters. The river that once carried trappers and miners now carries families, cyclists, and dreamers. The American River Parkway isn't just a park, it's a living classroom. A reminder that nature and history flow together, and that when a community chooses restoration over ruin, a river can truly be reclaimed.
And I must say, Phil, you can never underestimate the power of the American River. It's just amazing, this concept of creating the parkway for all of us, and it almost slipped by.
Yeah, it did. I have a couple pictures here. Here's a picture of before. Before, there was a sand and gravel right there, and then this is after, where the river is put into its channels like it's supposed to, and we don't have all those encroaching businesses and urban sprawl.
It's amazing how far it's come, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We're really proud of it.
Well, just like in the past, the river current still brings changes. We want to introduce you to a man some call the kayaking superhero. Take a look at how Carl Bly makes some incredible finds in the river, recovering lost items the owners thought were lost forever.
I just found the 230th cell phone of the season. That is absolutely crazy. 230 of them out of the American River.
I can remember coming out here when I was just 5 years old, a little kid out here. My dad would get us out here in these rapids, and it was the biggest, scariest thing in the entire world when you're that small. As I got older and more used to the river, it was less scary, of course. It's just beautiful out here. How could you not love the American River? All my life, I've been finding things in the river and returning them if there was a name, like a fishing license or a driver's license or something. At heart, I'm a treasure hunter. In the last few decades, we've had social media to work with. And I got kind of a reputation online as finding things and returning them. And I would just post little things I found here and there. And then people started sending in requests and just like, hey, I lost this or that. And so I realized that there was kind of a need here. So I set up a separate page on Facebook, started posting things and just kind of letting people know that are open for requests, and it just took off. Just recently, a person sent me a note saying she lost her mermaid tail in the river. And so I woke up in the morning and I was laying in bed and I'm like, mermaid tail? Okay, I know what I'm doing today. I'm gonna go out and look for a mermaid tail. And I found it that day and was able to return it to her. On a busy day, we get 5,000-6,000 people a day that come down this river, and it is beautiful out here in the summer.
Try to roll it back up.
My phone, man. Can you hold my phone?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, man. I was a kayak instructor and a raft guide, so all of that training, comes into play here a lot. When I was a little kid, my father would go out scuba diving in these rapids right behind me. When I was 5 and 6 years old, I would sit in the canoe and kind of hold it above his air bubbles. And he always told me, if anybody needs help, put the front of your canoe out there where they can reach it. As a little kid, I was doing that. And I didn't know what to do. Once they hung on, we would just go with the flow until we got to the shore. And my dad would come up and he'd look for me and I'd be helping somebody out far away. As a very young kid, I was doing that just because I was in the right place at the right time. And so it's second nature. I've been doing it my whole life.
Hello. Right behind you. There you go. How's that?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. How's the water?
I don't know how to swim, so...
You're doing a great job.
That was really scary.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was gonna die.
Awesome. Hey, good shit. For your first swim lesson, you get a sticker.
I've said the words, just go with the flow, so many times that I've actually had to put it on my shirt to tell people, it's like, just go with the flow. That's the easiest way to get out of trouble. That's the number one thing, go with the flow.
Did I hear you say your phone fell in the water?
Yep.
Like up there?
Right as we were coming down.
Right when you flipped over.
Thank you so much.
Looks like it's still powered up.
It's on. I love you.
I love you too. Right on. Kayla just got her phone back.
Being safe on the river, number one is don't bring glass bottles on the river, please, please, please. We find them all the time underwater and we clean up as many as we can, but we're also finding broken glass. So number one, please don't bring glass that will break on the river. If you don't know how to swim or are uncomfortable swimming or don't even really know the river that well, wear a life jacket. Carl Bly with American River Lost and Found out here on the American River.
Well, Carl and his team have a Facebook page they update regularly called American River Lost and Found. And Phil, I'm amazed what Carl finds every day, but it's a reminder that we got to be careful what we bring out there on the river.
Yeah, absolutely. People sometimes just forget how sensitive the ecosystem is, and people will just forget things, or they'll fall out of their rafts, or they'll drop when they're on the trails, and it just becomes a problem.
I bet. Well, it is a major concern, but we can definitely tell how much Carl loves the American River.
Yes.
Well, life can get noisy and overwhelming, as you know, but programs like Meristem and the American River Parkway Foundation are creating new pathways, helping those with challenges find peace and purpose along the river. Watch how they're making a difference.
I actually have never been here before. This is like my first time. The first thing I noticed was like everything around the river, the sounds, the sights, like the peace.
Through our Parkway Connect program, we work with nonprofits who serve disabled, the elderly, and underserved communities to share the sights and sounds of the Parkway.
Today I have Meristem out for our Parkway Connect program. The program is working to connect the community with the Parkway, and so today we came out to do a nature walk, and then we're going to do a little print afterwards using the sun.
So Meristem is an integrated therapeutic movement program located in Fair Oaks that specializes in working with students who are neurodiverse or on the autism spectrum disorder. So the afternoon is about relaxation, and the next day too. So there's a measurable result of outdoor activities in nature led by professionals. They calm, they integrate into their body, and they feel so much better about themselves, their friends, and their community.
If my head's like going in a million places, like this can definitely like slow that or take that away.
The American River Parkway offers many Connect programs, and you can learn more at arpf.org. These programs offer various recreational opportunities like hiking, fishing, archery, and even arts and crafts. And the purpose is to make the American River Parkway accessible to everyone by addressing some of these barriers like cost, awareness, and transportation. So once again, go to arpf.org to learn more. Well, it seems like everyone's turning to a photographer these days, thanks to our cell phones, right? But when you take a moment, Phil, to really look around, there is so much beauty out there to capture on our phones.
Yeah, there is, Kelly. For instance, when I was in high school, I took a photography class, and I would take my Nichromat down to the river and take pictures. They just came out beautifully, and I was lucky. to go there as a kid.
I'm sure, and now it's so much easier. You can just pull out your phone
Absolutely.
and shoot away. Well, I want to introduce you to an incredible photographer. His name is Lewis Kemper, a renowned photographer who's been capturing the natural beauty of North America's parks for more than 40 years. And while he was in North Dakota, our producer, John Christensen, caught up with him. And listen to this, it's no surprise that after taking pictures at parks all across the country, he told John that his favorite place is right here at home on the American River Parkway.
Well, actually, I started my photography in high school. I had a class my senior year that half the year was photography and half the year was astronomy. Basically, that class sort of changed my life. I was about 22 years old, I guess, when I landed in Yosemite and got a job at the Ansel Adams Gallery. And I had studied photography in college. And I was there when Ansel was still alive. So I got to meet Ansel, and then Ansel would do his summer workshops every year. And he would have guest instructors, and the guest instructors were all the people I had studied in college in my history of photography class. They were there live in front of me, and I was getting to meet them. As a kid, it was just absolute dream come true. As a photographer, I'm influenced by every photograph I see. Basically whether it's somebody famous or, I'll spend an hour a day on Facebook seeing these amazing pictures from people whose names I have no idea who they are. And it's like I get inspired and ideas from them as much as I did from Ansel and Philip and, Ruth Bernard and all those other people. My favorite time is the winter time. We have more birds. When it's cold, we've got the fog and the mist rising off the river, which gives it all that atmosphere. And that's my favorite thing to photograph, that great backlit fog in the mornings with the golden light and the birds. It's gratifying. Every artist who does it kind of as a profession or whatever wants to have their work seen, and the more places you can be, the happier you get to be.
Well, if you want to see more of Lewis's work, he's been featured in museums all across the country, and his photography career spans decades of success. So to see more of his stunning images or sign up for one of his workshops, you can visit his website at lewiskemper.com. Well, we hope you join us for future episodes as we continue sharing great stories and discoveries along the American River Parkway. This is your guide to explore, learn, and connect with this incredible local treasure. To learn more or share what you love about the Parkway, visit arpf.org. Phil, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Kelly. It was a pleasure.
Great to have you with us. And for all of our viewers, we can't wait to see you next time. Until then, we'll see you out on the Parkway.